Hello everybody, and welcome to Mondoid, your one-stop shop for all things Project Zomboid. And this week, new camera angle. That's right, no longer are we having the camera down here looking up to me at a weird kind of upward angle thing. I actually decided to mount it onto my monitor with a little majiggy that came with the camera that I completely forgot had it. It's going to center me, it's going to make things work a lot better, at least I think so. And on top of it, you get to see my slightly messy apartment, as well as my cats probably running around over there at some point. I don't doubt that you'll see them at some point. But this week we're going to be taking a look at a Mondoid that's really important for a couple of reasons, and it's called What's Steam in Russian. This particular blog actually raised a lot of discussion, one that actually was brought up on the forums and locked appropriately, in my opinion. The thread was locked because it was causing a lot of arguments, but it brings up something that I do want to discuss, that a lot of people have been worrying about pretty intensely ever since things started going wrong about a year ago as far as development is concerned. But first and foremost, did my cat? I'm gonna have to watch that again. I swear to God, I saw my cat and the camera jump like crazy. Anyway, so first and foremost, there is no NPC video this week. They kind of get that out there right away. I know they kind of built up the hype a little bit last week, saying there's going to be a better NPC video, but there isn't one, and the reason is they've kind of taken NPCs and, for the time being, shelved it. I don't want to say shelved it because that means they've gotten rid of it. I don't know. They're delaying it for a little while because they have essentially decided that, for reasons that are either unbeknownst to us or doesn't really matter, they need to get this thing on Steam. I mean, think about it. Project Zomboid was part of the very first wave of Steam greenlight titles, period. It was literally in the first batch of titles that were greenlit. So at this point in time, you're looking at, it's what, been a year now, if they talk about it here. It should be underlined, however, that a huge part of this is getting cane ball spot tutorial, blah, blah, blah. Essentially, it was a year ago, and I assume that there's got to be some sort of time limit or something, because they basically decided to push onto Steam now. It's like, okay, we need to get it on Steam. And they want to get the cane bald spot tutorial fixed first, all the game-breaking bugs fixed first, as well as finishing basically all the core gameplay mechanics to get it out on early access. And that's fine. I think that's really smart. I think that's an excellent idea, and I have no qualms whatsoever with them putting it on Steam with early access, especially since it was last November that I think it got greenlit, and we're about to hit a year mark this coming November. So we'll talk about Steam. They have managed to get Steam integrated to the game. In fact, I may or may not have a Steam key for myself already for the Steam version, just saying. They are already working on it. However, don't feel we're even ready for Steam Early Access yet. The game is, as it currently stands, has too many bugs. So like I said, they're working on fixing bugs and stuff. They were getting the tutorial fixed, providing Steam keys with those, also figuring out a way to get the Steam keys to those who have purchased the game via Desura or whatever. I know Desura has actually kind of stepped forward and said, we can help you get Steam keys to everybody that purchased the game on Desura, so don't worry about it. So that's awesome. Desura is going to make that job so much easier for the Indie Stone, which is good to see. And the other thing they're working on, as far as Steam, other than Steam is concerned, is continuing to build West Point, which is pretty cool. There's actually a little map here you can see, and translating it into other languages. So that's cool. As far as that is, the Finish and Foreign build 17. Quick note to say this is still on its way. The build 17 is almost done, and you can go check it out right now on the forum if you'd so like. And they're saying goodbye until next time. So that's about it for this week. We're really into one of those knuckle down periods right now. Blah 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 blah. So two things are that this kind of brought out in discussion wise, and essentially the two things that I want to discuss is should you be upset that they're shelving NPCs for the time being? Should you be upset that you didn't get an NPC video? And I think an argument could be made for both sides, because you are a consumer that did purchase into this game, and you expect certain things, but you have to understand as well at the same time that you also purchased into an alpha. Anything and everything can and will change. So without the NPCs, one thing or another. I think the reason I'd say you have an argument to be upset in one of the Indie Stone, as a developer, is one of their biggest flaws, is because no one's perfect. Well, if you think you're perfect, you need to check yourself before you wreck yourself. One of the biggest flaws they have is empty promises, or promises that usually don't get fulfilled by the time frame they had. I mean, we all have the kind of big inside joke as far as the Indie Stone is concerned is something gets promised on a certain date, and it's a year before you see it, right? Or months or weeks or whatever it is. So one of the things I suggest the Indie Zone do is stop. Just stop before you make promises for anything or saying, hey, you're going to get this at this date or this at this time or any ETA. Stop. Say to yourself, is there a possibility that this cannot happen? Is there a possibility that we will not have this ready for the people that we're saying we're going to have it by? If the answer is even 1% chance there is a possibility that you won't have it, then don't give us a time frame. Or don't say we're going to have it. Because it's become this kind of inside joke running gag that you guys, the Indie Stone themselves, I say you guys like, I'm talking to them, they have produced this kind of repertoire of promising something and not being able to deliver. And that needs to stop. But you would figure they most would have learned their lesson by now. And I know they even said last week they're not making any promises. It's potentially not going to come out. They won't have a video for us. But even saying it, if you don't think you're going to have it, my suggestion is don't bring it up. If you don't know if you're going to have it, don't bring it up. That way, the week following, we won't be disappointed. And then when you talk about potentially delaying NPC development, which me personally, I don't particularly care. I think getting it on Steam is way more important than having the NPC development continue. Because once you are on Steam, you can then knuckle down on NPCs. But because then when not only do the people not get a video that they thought they were going to get or thought they were entitled to getting, you're then telling them that the development of this particular aspect of the game that people are so revved up for is being shelved for maybe a week or two. They're going to get incredibly upset. And then the forums or the forum threads start where people are like, this is it. This is the Indie Stones always, with the 2 years. I feel like, basically, we're not getting our money's worth or whatever, and I feel like the game is going to crash and burn because they've waited so long. Development time goes into this, that, and the other. And that's the second part I want to talk about, because this is always, the arguments always devolve into, especially on the forums, have the Indie Stone taken too long to develop the game? Has the bus come and gone for them? And the success that they will have with the game now, would it equal the success they would have had a year ago if they had hit pretty much any of their benchmarks? And that's a question that is impossible to answer, to be honest with you. I can have my personal opinion that I think mistakes were made. I think a lot of mistakes were made, but much like a lot of the developers and other people have said, you can't look at the past, you have to look at the future. So in a big sense, does it really matter? I think that's the more important question. It's not will their success now be equivalent or equal to the success if they had, jumped on Steam a year ago and they had met any of their deadlines. It's impossible to say, and to be honest, it doesn't matter. Excuse me. It doesn't matter. It's an argument that is not necessarily here. And if you're not happy with the game, put it away. It was $8 you spent however long ago. If you don't want to play the game or you're upset about the game, put it down. Do you have a right to complain? Of course you have a right to complain. You're a consumer. It's part of being a consumer. You spend money, and now you can complain at the developers for not being happy with how it's turning out. Excuse me. But at the same time, you also purchased into an alpha. So put the game down, take a step back, go do something else, come back in a few weeks or whatever, and check up on the game. Has it taken too long to develop? Yeah, sure. Maybe it has taken too long to develop. Have they made one too many empty promises or broken promises? I'd say, yeah, they probably have. But at the same time, looking in the past and saying, this is what they did wrong, is not going to help this is what they need to do. Because I'm sure they're very clear, and they completely understand what they need to do to set things up. And I think getting this game and putting it on Steam and shelving NPCs for now is the right move. Getting it out to that audience that they have basically kind of kept it from. Remember, this game came out at a time, or was announced or playable at a time where zombie survival RPGs didn't exist. And now we basically have those. You have 7 Days to Die, which is, basically first-person Project Zomboid. You have what is it? You have that other zombie game. I can't remember what it's called. It came on Xbox Live Arcade. It sold a ton. It's coming out to Steam at some point. State of Decay. State of Decay came out. That's another zombie survival RPG that's really, really good. There's another one that actually hit. I can't remember the name of it either. What I'm trying to say is that, if it had come out, whatever, it came out at a time where this genre was still new, and now we're starting to see it not so new. And the zombie genre is oversaturated as it is, and that now that we're seeing it, essentially this particular type of zombie game come out, they're getting it on Steam is going to be incredibly important because they need to get out there. They were one of the first, and now they're going to be one of the last to get on Steam, which is really an unfortunate situation. So for them to say, look, we need to get on Steam, not only has it been over a year since we've been greenlit, but we might be running out of time, I think that's smart, and I'm okay with them shelving NPCs, even temporarily. So you need to be okay with it too, because to be honest with you, this is one of the best decisions they've made. I think this game should have been on Steam months ago. I think it should have been early access months ago. There are so many games on early access that are so much more broken and so much more incomplete. Look at Starforge, the alpha for Starforge. That game barely is a game. It's more of a proof of concept, but they've been on Steam, and just because the game has been on Steam, it has gotten more YouTube coverage and has seen a lot of push. There have been people out there. Force Strategy, he's a huge YouTuber. He covered the game, and he even said there's really nothing in this game, but the game has potential. If Zomboid is a much more polished experience than a lot of these games on early access are, and if this game had been on early access months ago, I think I really think the developers of Indie Stone need to kind of take their head out of the ground and say, you can't polish this game to perfection before you put it on Steam, is what I'm trying to say. You need to get this game on Steam early access, and I'm talking to you from somebody who has a lot of early access games. Your game is friggin' near perfect compared to a lot of these games that are on early access. Sure, there are some really good ones out there, like Prison Architect, but comparatively to some other ones, like Starforge, which isn't even a game and has had resounding success, you guys have something on your hands that is much more complete than almost anything on Steam early access, and yet you're so afraid to put it out there. You needed to get it out there months ago. I'm glad you're getting it out there now. So as far as the community is concerned, you guys need to just relax and let the Indie Stone do their thing. Let it get on Steam and let NPC's development continue from there. That's all I'm going to say on the subject. I'm done. I've been talking for 12 minutes. I'm hiccuping at this point. It's ridiculous. That's pretty much the entirety of the blog. Them saying, look, we're going for Steam now, and then we'll work on NPCs after. So be excited for that. That's going to open up to a whole new audience, and I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to happen from there. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're one of those once-a-week viewers, I will see you next week. If you're a regular, I'll see you later today. Don't forget to hit that like button if you like the video. Click subscribe and join the Horde today. I don't have a name for my viewers. Now you're part of the Horde, the zombie Horde. I don't know. I'll see you guys next time.